Happy PSAT week to all who celebrate. I'm Mr. Brown. I'm going to be your guide through this standardized test taking season. So, I've helped hundreds of students to improve their test taking abilities and to get accepted to the colleges of their dreams, and I can help you too. So, one thing about me is that I put my credentials on the line regularly. I've been tutoring since 2005, and the last couple of tests that I've taken have been the ACT, most recently in July. And using my 30 plus fast track system, I scored a perfect 36 twice in a row, and I'm going for three in December. I took the SAT back in May of 2016, and I'm signed up to take them again later this year. The last time I took those tests, I used the strategies I teach my students, and I got a 790 math and 770 verbal. Not perfect, but close enough. And so I'm here to give you some advice if you're sophomores and you're heading into this test prep season. I'm going to give you a little bit of advice on some of the things that you should do as you're taking this PSAT. All right. So this is probably your first chance to sit for an official standardized test. That is a good thing. You're probably feeling all kinds of things about this test. You've heard so much about it going into it. Um, it's all right. Go ahead and feel that pressure. Um, that's one of those things that's always going to be with you as you take these tests. And the pressure works on you. And some people it helps to kind of sharpen their focus, and some people it helps it doesn't help and they get test anxiety. And there are ways to work around that. I mean, even I get test anxiety sometimes too. So you can feel that pressure, let it work in your advantage, or but don't think that it's something that can be necessarily a detriment to you. For you, the P in PSAT truly stands for practice. So basically, you get to test out your current approach to problem solving to see what you need to fix heading into next year. That's when it really starts to count. All right. And so the other thing I want you to think is to avoid some of the major pitfalls that cause your score to just suffer unnecessarily. The first thing that I want you to think about is this is not like normal classroom tests. All right. You don't have to pay attention to absolutely everything. The key to doing well on any standardized test is momentum. Don't feel like you're doing anything wrong if you skip a few questions along the way. Also, make sure to leave yourself plenty of time at the end of the test to go back to skipped questions or revisit questions that you found difficult. All right, so those are some pretty general test taking strategies. Now we're going to talk about some specific test taking strategies from each of the sections. And you have three sections on this test. One is reading, one is writing and language, and one is math. So for the reading, this is the first thing that you're going to see, and it's really easy just to get intimidated by the reading section and feel like you have to read every word of every passage. And this is the section, whether it's the SAT or the ACT, this is the section where many of my students run out of time before I show them how to read the passages more efficiently. Don't get bogged down in those details. Your first read through should be fairly brisk. Basically, it's a chance for you to understand generally where things are in the passage so that you can relocate them easily when the questions demand. All right. And keep it moving. You're going to hear that advice a lot from me. So I want you to think about the fact that um, every question counts the same. The Scantron that scores your test has no idea that you spent 10 minutes on one question and 30 seconds on another question. You should strive to spend an equal amount on every question. So, really just keep that in mind as you're going through the reading section in particular. There is absolutely no reason for you to feel like you have to read every word of any passage. So, just get a general idea of where things are and let the questions dictate where you focus. All right. So if I'm going to give you one specific piece of advice in the reading section, just avoid bogging down on those details. Next comes up the writing and language questions, and that is basically grammar rules and some charts and interpreting charts as well. To do well in this section, you just have to know the rules of grammar. Some people know those rules better than others, but the best part about this section is that there are certain rules that are tested more than others. So it's very easy to improve your performance on this section if you know what to look for. And you can search out there. There are great compilations on the grammar rules that are used most on standardized tests. So in the next couple of days between now and Wednesday, you need to just find one of those and study, especially the rules around certain punctuations. If you want to improve your score very quickly, take a look at the rules around commas and semicolons. Those are tested more than just about any other punctuation. So really just keep those things in mind and think small, think simple. Again, keep your momentum. Read that these passages. You should read all of them because the context really kind of matters more for the writing and language passages than any other one. All right. So if I'm going to boil that down, then just know the rules and recognize the traps. And there are several, and you'll the more that you have experience taking practice tests, the more that you'll start to see those traps, and the more that you'll avoid those traps. That does take some experience, but that's okay. You're just at the beginning of your test prep taking career, and so you're going to get that experience if you want it. So on to the final section, which is math, which is broken up into two sections. In one of the math sections, you get a calculator. On the other one, you do not get a calculator. So keep in mind that there are going to be some that you're going to have to make generous use of scratch paper, generous use of the white space in your test booklet. But also, as a sophomore, some of the math questions are going to make absolutely no sense to you, and that's okay. So remember, all the questions count the exact same. Don't spend any extra time trying to puzzle out questions about trigonometry or the equations of circles if you've never seen those things before in class. Chances are great that you're going to learn how to do those things before the next test if you haven't already. So you just make a quick note of the things that are mysterious to you. Either the math is something that you haven't seen before, or it's something that you saw just so long ago, or that you forgot, or one of those things that maybe you like just weren't in class when that thing was taught. Either it's too advanced for you, or it's just not. You haven't had it in a long time. So that's advanced or ancient math is what I like to call it. Another really good thing to keep in mind for the math section is answer the question that they ask. One of the main pitfalls in this section comes when the question asks you for instance, 3x minus 4, and you and your dutiful little math skills, you get the answer for x, which is always going to be one of the choices, by the way, and you immediately choose it. Just make sure, don't fall into that trap. Underline words or phrases in the question that ask you an actual question. This is a perfect example of that. We're looking for the population of green leaf in this one T years after 2000. So we're gonna plug in answer choices and see which one gives us in 2010, which is 10 years after 2000. That means our T is going to equal 10, which one gives us out 846. And so we can also, when you're working with somebody like me, I show you you can just eliminate certain answer choices right off the bat. And maybe you just eliminate 3 out of the 4. And before you do any actual math, you'll be like, oh, yeah, okay, it's that one. And as you can see for this one, if you've been working on it as I've been talking, the one that works is A. So keep those things in mind. Again, momentum is key. Momentum is key. So keep it moving. Note the mysteries. Answer what they ask you. Don't be afraid to use those answer choices to try to prove any of the questions. But momentum is so key. Finally, if you leave the test feeling like you have no idea what was going on, you probably just need someone with experience to guide you through the process. I would love it if your family chose me to be that person, but whatever you do, find someone to help you. So, one thing about me is that I love to play golf. This is me and my daughter at the end of last season playing our last round. It was a little bit getting a little bit too chilly to play, but we got out there and we did well. And we're coming up to that point again this season too. Some of my best rounds have come when I've played with someone who knew the course well. So they could tell me where to hit it, which was often much better than where I was thinking I should hit it. So we all benefit from having someone there who has been through the process before. And that's where I or somebody like me comes in. So find an experienced guide and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck on Wednesday, and I'll see you soon.